the information and a set of systems. So the information system as a set of systems help us to manage, help us to capture, store, process, and output information. So somehow we are managing information, and you cannot talk about managing information in organizations without discussing managing knowledge, because it's out of information that we build and we get knowledge. So part of what we are going to do today is information management, but the information management is on the smaller hierarchy. It's below. Somebody came up with what we call a knowledge paradigm, or the knowledge triangle. And he says that if you have the knowledge triangle, you can have about 3 layers. Down here is data. Remember we said data helps us form information. So above information, he thinks that there should be knowledge, and above knowledge, some people say wisdom. So we cannot discuss information management without discussing knowledge management. And it's knowledge management that plays a key role in organizations. What you use the information for and act with it, and you gain knowledge out of it. It is out of the knowledge that you have that you make decisions, you take decisions, you establish policies, and you get organizational processes and work done. So knowledge management is very important as we talk about information management. So we'll discuss information management in the realms of knowledge management. What our session will look at is what is knowledge, where is knowledge in organizations, and how do organizations learn. Some people may say that this is particularly for HR people, so they should discuss knowledge management. But no, knowledge management is something that is very big for organizations. And every organization, in one way or the other, manages knowledge. So you capture knowledge and you manage knowledge. But why is knowledge itself important? If you look at what we usually call now the information economy, the information economy, the information age is characterized by a new product of production, a new factor of production, which we call knowledge. The traditional factors of production used to be land, labor, and capital. But one of the ways in which firms are competing by, which I've been emphasizing since we began, is knowledge. It's not just information, not just about land, labor, and capital. But the ability to use information is what others term as knowledge, how you use and apply information. Some people say that it's not just about knowledge, it's about not just about information and knowledge, it's about making sense out of it. The ability to change knowledge and the ability to learn. When you learn, you gain more knowledge. You enhance the knowledge that you have. So we'll be discussing how do organizations learn, how do we learn from processes in firms, and how do we use that to support our competitive edge. And to what extent does IT play in the role of learning in organizations or creating knowledge in organizations? So that's what we are doing. So what is knowledge? The first definition, the first question, what is knowledge? If you go back to our triangle, what did she say? Knowledge is power. That's true. That's by Francis Bacon. Knowledge is power.
But when knowledge is power, it is not shared.
That's very interesting. That's what we're going to discuss today. Knowledge sharing. If it's knowledge power, if it's not shared. Should I use that for examples? You are setting the questions for us, Amy. That's a very good question. I like the preamble. Okay, let's see what's going to happen here. What is knowledge? When you look at the knowledge triangle, I said information is built from data, and data builds information, information builds knowledge. So we have to understand the different elements of knowledge before we can understand what knowledge is. Dixon defines knowledge information as data that is information. Data that which is in information. When you put data through a process of formation, you get information. So you separate the word, the first part, IN from FORM. So data information is what we call information. That is data that has been analyzed, processed. We have discussed this before. Communicated and spoken through a language, graphic displays, and numeric tables. It means that before we can have information, there has to be a medium of communication in communicating the information. So, irrespective of whatever you have on your table, if you don't have a medium of communicating it, to some extent, and somebody doesn't understand it, for that person that you are sending that, what you call information to him, it may look like data, it may look like nothing. If I take a 3-year-old child and I give that child our notes here for the child to read, or even a 1-year-old child, that child cannot relate to it. But that same child, if I go and take Teletubbies, that children program, and I put that same child in front of it, you go back 5 minutes and come, the child has recited some of the things that they are saying on Teletubbies. Somehow Teletubbies is created in a way that even though parents don't understand what they say on Teletubbies, the babies and children understand, they relate to it. That same child cannot relate to anything that if you give these notes to that child. Hence, there is a medium of communication, there's a spoken language that governs how information is interpreted. Anybody that is understanding information has to have some kind of sensory mechanism to be able to receive that data, appreciate that data, and even relate and make meaning out of it. So information itself cannot be anything, cannot be useful to a person until he has made meaning out of it. And that meaning has to be from the fact that it has to be communicated through some means. However, knowledge is when a person goes beyond just making meaningful links through his mind, but he also applies it to a specific setting. Hence, it's defined as knowledge is the meaningful links people make in their minds between information and its application in action in a specific setting. So that means that knowledge has to be placed in a specific setting before you can consider it as being knowledge. Why am I saying that? Supposing you are preparing for exams. You take my notes, you cram everything. You go to the examination hall. They have put a question before you. You are able to make meaning in the question and answer it. At that point in time, the meaningful links that you make out of the question that is there and for you to be answered is the knowledge you are putting on the sheet of paper. When the knowledge leaves your head and gets onto the paper, it becomes information for me. 2 months after I call you and I give the same questions, you can't answer them. Does it mean that your knowledge, you didn't gain knowledge or you're forgetting the knowledge? It is true and false. For a specific setting, the setting has changed. So that person has lost the relevance of what that particular information that used to reside in his mind. So the ability to recall becomes a problem. So others say that knowledge, information becomes only knowledge when it's put in a logical and understandable context, which we can verify and recall from experience. Knowledge is there because you can recall it from experience. And the more you recall it, the more you put it into that act of recalling, or you find yourself in more specific settings in which you need that particular knowledge, it becomes part of you. For example, if I'm teaching you how to drive and I'm teaching you half clutch, I can use my mouth to say it, I can say it many times, but unless you sit behind the steering wheel, you attempt it, you try it. Sometimes you can even think you know it, but when I put you on a Bree Hills, it will be a different story. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. It takes you time for you to recall it from experience. The same with bicycling. I can give you videos for you to watch. I can come here as a tutor, tell you what to do with bicycle. I can teach you what is the brake. I can teach you what is back brake. I can, like on the BMX. I can teach you all those things. But I can put you on a bike. I can't teach you balance. I have to push you. Even parents do the same. That's why a child, when you're teaching a child how to ride a bike, you start from a tricycle so that the child can learn and understand what balancing is. After some time, you can pick it up from there. And you push the person, you go one, you bring the legs down,